You are welcome to Beauty of Relationship. Um, I don't know, I'm getting so emotional in this service because relationship is one thing that, as a person, while I was growing up, I was not very intentional about it. I did not see people that were very, very intentional about relationship. So I made a lot of mistakes and took some decision that actually affected my life negatively. But when it dawned on me that this is the message that God wants me to communicate, I I have to make a U-turn and begin to learn about relationship intentionally. And most times, to be very candid, God used to speak to me like in-depth revelation about relationship. Beauty of relationship was put together as a vision that is dedicated to helping people to build healthy, meaningful, purposeful life in all facets and phases of life. And to be very candid, it is still based on that vision that the podcast that we are witnessing today is being established. It's a platform, a place where we can talk more about this relationship. Because when you talk about relationship, the only thing that comes to mind of people is relationship, romantic relationship. Like last week I was on street sharing flyer, and people respond to those flyer I was sharing is for young people, for people that are going to get married. So there is this twisted understanding about relationship. Relationship is all encompassing. Relationship cut across everything we do in life. In fact, there is no life without relationship. So you are welcome, and I believe that this podcast is going to be a huge blessing to you.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so Pastor has quickly talked about how twisted people's minds, ideas are around relationship. So I want to make reference to something the Pastor said today. He said romance is not love. He said romance is not love, but a channel through which man can express God's love in marriage. And I know for a lot of people here, they want to know what you really meant by that. But particularly, I would like to know what are the likely consequences. Because very commonly these days, what people do is ascribe romance to be love in their relationship. And I believe there are some consequences. What are the likely consequences of focusing on romance as a kind of love, in your relationship?
Thank you. That question is very, very important. And it does not just apply to only marriage. It applies to every other aspect of relationship. Okay, love, as I said, love is God and God is love. I am very proud to define love as God and God as love. When that foundation is not gotten right, I tell you, your understanding about relationship will be twisted. Now, man is like an answer, it's like a solution to whom God represents. God is love, and love is always looking for an expression. So God said, let us make man in our image and in our likeness so that he can pour his love into man. So man is a product of love. So man is created with a need to love and to be loved. So love is only one. There is only one love. There is nothing like types of love. But this God love can be expressed in different ways. In romantic way as regards to relationship, in marriage. It can be expressed, in a friendship way. It can be expressed in different ways depending on the type of relationship that is involved. And once you are not running with the foundation, love is always looking for a way to favor the other person. Because God is always looking for a way to favor man. That's say God so loved the world that is full of evil, corruption. God is still loving them. So love is always looking for a way to express. So once you are getting into marriage relationship, and you don't have this understanding that you are going there to give love, to offer to somebody you say you love. If you go there with the mindset of collecting, it's going to affect the romance of that relationship.
Awesome, awesome. Mr. Motola, I sense that you have a burning question you want to throw out there.
Yes, yes. Talking about love, I remember our co-pastor, Pastor Ndubisi, who happens to be the husband of our convener. He once shared that our dear pastor, Chioma Rufus, gave him 17 conditions before she would agree to marry him. So that brings me to the question: is love conditional?
In a very interesting question. That
I
one.
love this
That's very
question.
interesting question.
Oh my God. This is great. It's wonderful. Right? Okay, let me respond to that. The experience that my husband had while we were, getting to know each other was based on the fact that I found out that I am in the real thing. He was not in the real thing. And the real thing there is God, and that is love. So I didn't want a man that would take me out of God and out of real love. So I begin to give him those conditions. Really, I gave my husband a lot of conditions. I gave him a lot of conditions, and those conditions was geared towards pulling him to real love. Because I know if he lack real love, I will not be loved.
Yeah. Okay.
So that means that you wanted someone who has received out of the best to give you the best. So it is only in God that we have the best kind of love. And because he has received the best, you can now be assured that you can receive the best.
Exactly. And I want to put it to you, no matter your religion, let me bust your mind. If you don't have God, you cannot love. You cannot love. You will try to love, but you can't, because you can't give what you don't have. Love is divine, and it takes one who has God to actually love. Relationship is not possible without love. Relationship is the wheel on which love is driven.
Okay, Pastor, and there's a very interesting question that came across. Hello. I think that's much better. Thank you. All right. So I'd come across a man of God say something like in this line. He said, "You don't marry who you love. You love who you marry." And that was where he was trying to emphasize the basis for Christian marriages and love. He was expressing from Ephesians chapter 5, from verse 28. And his point in that message was more like, you don't necessarily need to love the person, but when you marry the person and this is your wife, in the sense, so that's from man to wife in this case. The scripture say, man, love thy wife. So love your wife. So if you have married that lady, then it behoves on you scripturally to ensure that you love her. You may not have really loved her before that point, but you have a scriptural obligation to love her. I'd like to know your perspective on that line of thought.
Every human being is a product of love. Every human being have ability to love. Some human beings whose love have not been activated are those who have not met God. But the love is still in them. The only thing is still lying dormant. So when the scripture said, man, love your wife, it's saying that you have what it takes to actually love your wife, which means love is inside you. Activate it and start using it for your wife. So really, like we use this word, somebody have fallen in love. Okay, that love there, for us to actually unravel that, we need to differentiate between like, lust, and love.
Okay.
So many people like sweet, like chocolate, right? Love is a craving. It's a craving, emotional. In fact, to be specific, it's a sexual craving, right? And love is God. Now, when you say you like something, it means you you desire that thing. Okay, you like that thing. So when it comes to human love, there is always a mix up between lust and love.
Mix up.
Now, lust is always after a thing, but love is always after a person.
You didn't get that, Pastor. Want to say it again, Pastor?
Love is expressed towards a thing, like express lust.
Lost.
I'm lusting after your leg, your nose, your height, your color. That's lust. It's always towards a thing. But love is beyond a thing. Love cannot be explained. It's a strong force. It's a divine force that cannot be expressed with words, and yet it does exist. And it always points to God.
Always points to God. That is to say that when a love is not pointing towards God, then there's something fishy about it.
There is something very wrong
about that love. I hope we have ladies and gentlemen in the house. It's very important that as you go through life, young people, old people, trying to get into a relationship, that we begin to, begin to distinguish between these things. Pastor has tried to distinguish love, lust, and like. And it's very important.
Feelings.
In feelings.
Feelings. That's not love.
In my lifetime, I've seen people put themselves in the middle of the challenges that they eventually face. So you are in a relationship, you see that the man is actually lusting. You are aware, because he says it, he acts it. But somewhere in your mind, you feel like it's only temporal. You don't try to distinguish and try to, narrow the focus. And maybe after a year in the relationship, 6 months in the relationship, you're expecting the relationship to take a very godly tone. And it's not happening. Trusting God for a miracle that you would have avoided early. So these are the kind of things that you need to know, because we have a responsibility and a part to play, in this thing. So that's why we're here. I'd like you to share some of your thoughts.
Talking about love, from the analogy Pastor gave this evening, the marital relationship, the siblings relationship, boss and the worker relationship. These are different types of relationships. So in this analogy, she made sure that the other person was pouring into the other. So love looks out for the other person. Love says you are more important than I am. Love says I'll give you. Love says I'll be there for you. What if we have a situation where this action is one-sided? This person is demonstrating this love. Let's look at the boss and the worker relationship. The worker has come into the organization with all good intention. I want to put my best in this organization. I'm going to make sure they come out top. I'm going to do everything possible to make sure that we are top of our game. This is our intention coming into the company. Meanwhile, the boss himself has a different agenda. So this person is pouring into the organization. The boss is sapping, like you said. I will make sure all you see is work. You will not have time for every other thing. You will smell work. You will eat love. You will drink love. So at this point, and it's obvious. Many times it's very obvious. Many a times you are seeing it. It's clear. So what would the worker continue to do? Continue to pour into a place where they are ready to collect from you until you fall down and go to heaven.
Oh my God. That's wonderful. That is where love comes to face what we call taste. Love must be tested. And when your love is being tested, you got to pass the exam. You see, it's very tough and very difficult, humanly speaking. But you see, that the other person is not responding should not stop you from doing the right thing. Because when you are giving love, you are living. when you stop giving love, you start malfunctioning. The person that malfunctions is the one that is not giving love. So it might be taking a toll on you because you are not getting what you are given. But you see, if you continue to give, God have a way of causing things to align. There will be realignment with time. That things will begin to shift until you find yourself where all you have been given will begin to bounce back to you. So, to everyone who is listening, in relationship, in our, especially like in marriage, to be very practical in marriage, I am 25 years in marriage.
Somebody want to celebrate that?
Okay.
25 years. That's a lot.
Yeah, and in these 25 years, I am not among those that said they did not quarrel. In fact, we quarreled last week. We used to quarrel. Me and my husband used to have misunderstanding. Okay, but because we define our relationship and we have expectation, we are working towards a goal. So no matter how we quarrel, we still make up. So, but the truth is, there are times when you will be given and your partner is not also reciprocating the love, what you are given, it have a way of affecting you. But then, I tell you, anytime I have taken a decision to do it like Lord of Moses, you give me, I give you. You don't give me, I don't give you. It's always hellfire for me. That's the truth. Because each time you are not giving love, you are malfunctioning. I'm telling you the truth. Each time you are in hatred, in resentment, you are in unforgiveness, you are the one that is dying. You are the one that will be sick. You are the one that will have high blood pressure. You are the one that your temperature will rise. You are the one that your heart will be skipping. You are the one. So it's all about loss. That's the truth. So when you realize that, the best thing is to look at God. God is a typical example. He keep giving love. And even when we do not give him back, he still keep giving. And by giving and being consistent over time, he start getting what he has been putting in. So I believe there is a place of test, and it's time for us to decide to pass the test.
Awesome. Awesome. Are you celebrating? Well, Pastor, I think for a lot of young men here, there's an obvious dichotomy that they will need some answers to, or need resolved. There's an analysis that you did during your teaching. In one of, in the analogy, you talked about when a man takes a woman to a restaurant and she picks the biggest chicken and what have you. For a lot of guys, a lot of young men today, they would agree that I think in the open space in our society these days, a lot of men ask question of where are we going to find wives? If there are so many women but a few wives. The women have their own argument, however. And the men would say that most of the women these days are really keen or interested about the financial or material things. They feel like most women, if you don't have anything material, they are not interested. No matter how industrious you are, no matter how much vision you carry, And the women have proven it over time these days. You go on social media, and if you're broke, then there's no way. But what do you have to say to women that think in that line? What do you have to say to such women? Because those are the women that eventually get heartbroken. We'll talk about heartbreaks. All right, so they follow the men. We see what's happening online, social media, from those, that do things with the ladies, those that do spiritual things and all that. We see, and everybody tends to blame the women all the time because of the kind of men that they go for. All right, so a lot of women now, their taste is not about the man's vision board. It's not about the man's intention. It's not about how much he cares about them. It's really about how much is in his pocket. What do you have to say to any woman that has that mindset?
Yeah, one thing about mindset is always a product of information, a product of environment where you grow up, is a product of the kind of knowledge available. So I believe that one of the challenge that we have in our time that is making a lot of young people to have misplaced priorities when it comes to relationship is because of the kind of family they are coming from. If you come from a home where you are well brought up and the right values are inculcated inside you, your value will be different. That's the truth. So I want to use this opportunity to encourage our mothers, our fathers, to begin to place value. I started my teachings some time ago, and I said life is all about relationship and not about accomplishments. So because of accomplishment, parents are nowhere to be found. It's all about money, 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 money. So these children, they grow up in this environment where parents place high value on money than relationship in the family. And instead of money to actually help the family relationship, money is killing and destroying the family relationship. So children from that kind of family have an altered mindset about life. It's all about material thing. I want to tell you, you cannot have that kind of mindset, because if you do, at the end of the day, you will get yourself hurt. It's good to place, see, after God, in creation of God's creation, there is another. It is God, man, angels, things, plants, animals, animal kingdom, plants, elemental kingdom. Like that's the hierarchy. So if you are here, maybe you are coming from a family where these things you didn't know, I want to tell you, begin to place value on God and place value on people. When you meet people, always ask yourself, what do I have to give to these people to make their life better? And this is the mind of an entrepreneur. If you think that way, you are thinking in the area of being very great. People that solve problems are people that are always successful. So, but if you are thinking what you will get, it will close your innovative mind, your creative mind. It will shut it down. And by so doing, it's going to limit your life. So it will not even benefit you as a person. It will not benefit you in the relationship. With time, the person you are relating with will realize that you are a materialistic person. And by the time he realizes that, he begins to treat you in a certain way. So there is no benefit at all. Place value on people. Place value on anybody that come into your space. Place value on human beings first before you can place value on things. If you have that mindset, it will help you. So when you are getting into relationship, it's not about what you will get. It's about what you have to offer.
Awesome. What do you have to offer? Very, very important. I'd like to see this opportunity to say that if you have any questions so far, you can feel free to beckon on the ushers or the protocol around and then give them your questions. Make it in writing, provide it to them, and they'll make it available to us. So if you get to the protocols, please do it to make sure that it gets to the projection stand, and then we'll have those questions read out. If you have any questions, please feel free to identify or signify, and they will meet you. So, Motla.
Okay, I have a question.
I know.
Okay, we are talking about love, heartbreak, and destiny. Many times, the people who have gone through heartbreak in one way or the other, especially in relationship that has, in love relationship or romantic relationship, when I get to speak with them, I at the end of it all, I realize that they made the heartbreak happen for themselves. First, you have your heart. This is my opinion. You have your heart. So for your heart to break, that means it fell on the floor or something, and then it smashed. That means you cannot hold your own heart and allow it to fall. That means there was a point where you gave this heart, your full heart, you gave it to another human being to hold for you. And then the heart break now happened, and something happened. Yeah. So I want to come to that conclusion that we should learn to take responsibility for our own for the heartbreak that we cause. Many a times, too much expectation, too much assumptions. I once spoke with a guy who said he has a girl broke his heart. Meanwhile, he has never spoken to the girl. all by himself. He was just loving this girl and just imaginations in his head.
Imagination.
Right before his eyes, the girl got married to somebody else. And then he is telling me he's heartbroken. He did not just stop there. He's saying he's not sure he will find another love. How?
That guy's
How?
interesting. Such an interesting
So
man.
I want to say that heartbreak, we for people that have that is that happened to, heartbreak is your responsibility. Can you help us expatiate that? How did you get to the point that you gave your heart to someone, and then another human being like you, that it dropped, and then the heart broke?
Oh my God. All right. There is a literal meaning to what she had just said, but then I would like to come from the other side of it. You cannot talk about heartbreak without talking about grief. Heartbreak is a change. It's actually a definition of a change that you didn't want to happen that happened. So many times there are things we have already made up our mind that this thing cannot happen, right? He cannot say no. He cannot say no to me. This relationship must work. So by the time you have already made up your mind, and then suddenly what you have envisioned and concluded in your mind did not happen that way, that result to heartbreak. So heartbreak is simply a change that we didn't expect or bargain that it will happen that actually happened. But the truth is, life is full of heartbreaks. It's not just in relationship. There are so many things about our life that, this is not what we are expecting, but they happen. And that's why that team love heartbreak and destiny. A lot of time, the things we have termed heartbreak are actually pathway to our destiny. So many of them are pathway for us to discover that, oh, I am not meant to be in a relationship that has this kind of qualities or have this kind of personality. For example, in relationship, you are in a relationship and all of a sudden the person doesn't want you again. Yeah, it's a change you don't want, but it has happened. It will affect you emotionally. It will actually affect you. And that's what people call heartbreak. But the truth is that if you can understand it in a different light, that this is actually one of the relationships that are not meant to be in your life. It will help you to heal and to also make room for you to discover the one that God have ordained for you. So many times, what we have called heartbreak, at the end of the day, we begin to thank God that they actually happen. So, but because we are not ready for it at that moment, we are calling it heartbreak. So, remember that when somebody loses a loved one, it's also a heartbreak. When you lose a job that you didn't bargain for or you didn't plan for, it can cause you a heartbreak. There are so many things that causes us heartbreak. But whenever we find out that we have been emotionally traumatized, it's good to actually tell yourself there is something better that God wants to bring out of this situation. Whether it's job, in relationship, in anything in life, always be positive and believe in yourself that something beautiful will surely come out of that situation. So by positioning our mind that way, we will heal. You see, sometimes when your heart is broken, cry. It's good to cry. Cry. Be there for that heartbreak. Cry. Feel it. But don't die there and move on.
Awesome, awesome. Now, in line with heartbreaks, all right. For a lot of people, you talk about expectations, unmet expectations. Yeah, causing assumptions, causing heartbreaks, and for some people, there are imperfections, all right, from their partners, and well, we all have been taught that there's no perfect human being, all right. So my question would be, how can we embrace, right, people like human beings in their relationship? How can we embrace the imperfection in ourselves and in our partners. Because it's very quick for a lot of people to revolt, get upset, not want to continue when they see certain weaknesses in their partners. All right, they don't have the grit, they don't have the strength, to get through that test, whatever it is. So what does one need to do to embrace imperfections? Because we would definitely meet imperfections. We definitely meet it in the spouses. Because when you meet somebody, a girl today or a guy today, all you're saying is the physical aesthetics. You're talking, you're all excited, doing your midnight calls, and it's all loving, lovey-dovey sweet until you get closer. You get closer and maybe eventually get married. And you begin to see certain things because you must see them. There's certain things you see that shows that they're humans, they're imperfections. How do we embrace these imperfections so that it doesn't lead to breakups of any kind?
I believe that lack of knowledge is the reason for a lot of sufferings, tough experiences that we go through in relationship. Relationship is life, and yet we are not intentional about it. I believe that we should begin to, see relationship as a very important subject and start teaching in that light. If we are all informed right from childhood that we will always meet imperfection in people, and when you see it, this is the way to go about it. I believe that it will empower us. But because these things we are not taught, and then one day you begin to meet them and you are confused about some of the things you will be seeing. For example, I want to say that in relationship, we should try as much as possible to be transparent. That's where it begins from. Transparency. Even in our families, our parents, if you're a parent here, learn to be transparent with your children. Stop pretending that some things doesn't happen when they're happening every day. Because when someone, grow with a mindset that everything is top notch, and one day he just wake up in the morning to find out that things are not like that, that's heartbreak. Yeah, that's heartbreak. So I believe transparency is the best way. If you are in relationship, try to be yourself. Everybody knows where he's weak and where he's strong. But have we ever in our relationship, avail ourselves of opportunity of talking about our weaknesses? Most times what we talk about is our strength. We don't give voice to our weaknesses. We don't want anybody to know about our weaknesses. And because we are not actually communicating it, so it will be like a surprise for somebody and thereby breaking people's hearts. If you tell somebody that, see, I'm a thief. You are loving a thief, or you say you're falling in love. It's the person say, really, you're falling in love. You're falling in love with a thief, oh. I'm an armed robber, oh. See, that information, if the person decides to marry you, I'm telling you, he will put up with your stealing. When you go out, you don't come back, you will know that you are going for operation.
Yeah, for operation.
So, but if you come into that relationship lying that you are very truthful, your yes is your yes, only for this person, after 5 years, you now discover that you're an armed robber. That's the heartbreak. In fact, just as she said, heartbreak is caused by our inability to accept who we are and tell people about who we are. So, young people, you have more opportunity. Why not go back to your relationship and talk to the person and say, see, I'm very good in this, but you see this lying thing? It be like, say, that area I know too correct. Oh. I dey lie small. You understand? Let somebody know who you are. Let people know who you are. We should be able to know who we are. See, vulnerability is the way to healthy relationship.
Vulnerability.
Yes, it's the way to healthy relationship. It's not about perfection. So since we know that we are not perfect, let's be open. Let's be open. In families, there are some families, you go there, when you say somebody stole, they know who stole. You come to their family, say, one of your children stole from my, they say, Ikechukwu, you see you? because they know that is that person that always steal. So that is it. So, but in our relationship, we try to pretend over it. We don't want to be sincere. We don't want to be open. So being open is one of the best way to build a healthy relationship, so that if the person wants to love you, let him love you for who you are, not because of whatever that you display.
Awesome. I thought you were
Yes. Still talking about a marital relationship. I just have a question for our convener. It's a very direct one, ma. I'm asking, if you had not married Pastor Pst Rufus, would you be married to somebody else? If you never met him, if your paths did not cross, would you have still been married to somebody else? So that brings me to another question. There are people that say soulmates. If it is not this one, I am not going anywhere. In fact, our umbilical cord are tied together. This is where I would stay. So do soulmates exist? Is there one particular man in this life that is cut out for one woman, that if you miss that man, you have missed it for life?
They already know the answer. Okay, we know that is not true, because the same you now, if they take you to America now, you will find lovers there.
Yes.
They take you to UK now, you find lovers there. You move to your village now, you find lovers there. So you can see that that's a fallacy.
Pastor, some people are not answering the village. Are you sure if you move to a village, you find lovers there? they like America and UK to find lovers there. But it's all good. On a lighter note.
Okay. There are a lot of people also that pride in saying, my circle is small, I pick my friends, I know the people I talk to, I don't want a large circle. In one of your messages, you enlightened us with a message, a parable Jesus shared. Jesus sowed seeds. Then in the middle of the night, the enemy came to sow weeds. And then these weeds and these seeds were growing together. Then the disciples were asking, are they not going to interfere with the good thing? Because we have a good thing now and a bad thing. And the disciples were asking, are we not supposed to go there and uproot the weeds? And Jesus said, allow them to grow together. When I got to that part, I am often in, how can we allow them to grow together?
Powerful. You know that relationship is likened to those tares and those weeds. The tares are people who have not cultivated their character, people who have not worked on themselves, people who have not realized that life is actually relationship, and they are not yet ready to give it that approach. Why the weeds are people who have cultivated their character, who knows that life is about relationship, who are also ready to actually do whatever is required to enjoy their life by enjoying the kind of people that have come into their world. These two people, they are very important to each other. The tares need the wheat, and the wheat need the tares. Now, if you are very, if you have not cultivated your character and you have not also discovered the place of relationship, you need people who have cultivated their character and who are intentional about relationship for you to grow, to become like them. But then you that have grown and still growing, you need to keep increasing your capacity, fine-tuning your skills, because relationship has skills. There are people you meet, you have to be sophisticated in your mind to be able to navigate with them. While there are people, it doesn't take you anything. They are very easygoing. So if you don't develop skill with these difficult people that look like the weeds, you keep avoiding them. Like a lot of people, I'm a pastor, so I pastor church, and I see Christians, they meet some kind of people, they start avoiding them, which was the lifestyle I used to live. Avoiding people. Once I see you are I cut you off immediately. But you see, that style is not the best style because you will not be developing your character. By actually putting up with people who are difficult, you build capacity to be able to navigate life with both difficult people and easygoing people. If you meet people that they are very difficult to please, I tell you, all your life the only people you meet is easygoing, easygoing, easygoing. The day you will meet difficult people, you will swear, you will pray that you are not alive. But if you have been meeting both, there is no kind of person that you will not be able to do anything with. And that is my advice to anyone listening to this podcast today, to let you know, see, you actually need difficult people in your life. And most time, difficult people, they are the ones that bring out the best out of us. Because of some difficult people, you are going to be hard on yourself, work on yourself, and keep being hard on yourself so that you don't falter. And by so doing, you are building capacity. You are fine-tuning your skill on how to relate with people. So avoiding difficult people is not the way to actually grow in relationship. The way to grow in relationship is to always ask God for wisdom to understand this person, to still do life with this person, even though the person is difficult.
Awesome. All right, so we're going for online questions. Some of the questions that you have already asked. If you still have questions, please do well to use the ushers or the protocol. But also note that some of those difficult persons that we're talking about, that Pastor is talking about, that you are one of them. You're a difficult person to one person or the other. For some people in your workplace, you are the most difficult person. So most times we have to introspect because it's very easy for us to point fingers. That guy is very difficult. But most times you're the one with the bad character. So please always look inwards. And I hope you have fun this season. So one of the questions, I take this question, say good evening. How do you manage relationship without sex? All right, so that's a question coming from the audience and online. So we're very happy to take that question. Pastor, how do you manage a relationship? Because for a lot of young people, they struggle they don't even believe that this is possible. They don't believe that it's possible. But I think somebody here today will be going home, transformed, having deep knowledge, insight from the Word of God, knowing that this is possible and it will transform the trajectory of the relationships.
Yeah, it is very, very possible to have relationship without indulging in sex. Number one is why that relationship. Before you are into relationship, you must define the purpose of the relationship. They said when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. And there is something about our community, about our nation. There is something common about the world. I want to say, before I go straight into that answer, I want to say that if you're a young person here, doing life with opposite sex is one of those, is a phase of life that you really need to be strong for yourself, because a young person people are always suspecting young people. Let me use myself as an example. Me and my husband, we dated for close to 5 years without sex. Yes. But the truth is, nobody believed me. Yeah. Everybody believed that we were sleeping together. Everybody believed that we messed up ourselves. In fact, at a time, I spoke to my pastor. My pastor was like a friend and my pastor. So I used to tell him everything. And he told me something. He said, focus on pleasing God, not pleasing people. Because at the time I got discouraged. I said, this thing they're talking, already my name done bad. Make a kukuma they do this thing so that everything go balance. But you see, I want to encourage a young person here. At that phase of life, even if you write, I have never slept with a man on your face, nobody will believe you. So many people believe that every young person, once you are talking with a man, you are sleeping with a man. There is this. I don't know how to describe it.
It's skewed mindset.
As
Skewed
in,
mindset.
like it's actually bad. But I know of so many of my friends that we are in relationship for a long time and they never had sex. So discussing with somebody, talking with someone, and you cannot avoid it at that stage. So if you're a single person here, don't feel bad when people are talking ill about you because you are talking with a man every day. It's nothing. It's part of it. Let it not also inform your negative decision that will not make you now say, okay, since they're already saying it, so let me. Keeping yourself is not for people. It's for yourself and for God you are honoring. So, and as long as you are doing what pleases you and pleases God, go ahead and do it. Secondly, having sex before marriage is one of the reasons why marriages are failing. So many relationships that are supposed to translate into marriage, they fail before time because of sex. Because once there is sex, I tell you, everything will begin to malfunction in that relationship. Sex is an act of sin that can malfunction your mind. And when two people's minds are malfunctioning in a relationship, I can tell you, betrayal will come. Somebody will start betraying somebody. Somebody will stop trusting somebody. Somebody will start thinking that somebody is cheating somebody, even though I don't know whether it's true or not. Before you know it, it will create room for so many things. And it will put pressure on the relationship. And before you know it, a good relationship is already failing. Lastly, remember that sex before marriage is sin against God, against you, against your children unborn, against everyone around you. It is not just a sin you sin for yourself. It's a sin you sin against yourself. And how you dress your bed is exactly. So, in our time, it is no longer popular that a woman kept herself. But I want to say so many women are still keeping themselves. So sex is wrong before marriage.
All right, so Pastor, I think just to emphasize that person's question, if you can give 2 pointers or how they can manage themselves. For somebody here, that person, I believe, is interested in trying to manage, himself around that relationship. Maybe 1 or 2 points, and then Omota will
One
take
of the
next
primary
question.
things you need to put in place if you are going to have relationship that is void of sex is you should be accountable to somebody. Both of you. Both of you. My pastor was at the middle of our relationship for that 5 years. Everything we were doing, we were communicating with him. Even when there are pressures, he was aware. Everything, every error, I was informing him. I was so open. So one of the ways to help yourself in a relationship is to be accountable to somebody so that someone can help you watch your back.
All right, fantastic. Please
So
take the next question.
sex before marriage is not acceptable.
It's not acceptable.
Okay, so since they are not having sex, what should they now be doing?
I love this one.
Very fantastic
Oh
question.
my God. Oh, this is excellent.
This is
Pastor, okay, so what do you think that they should be doing?
Okay. Pastor is showing this to me. I think that's a very, very practical question.
Yeah.
Very practical question.
That's beautiful question. That's good question.
Yes, for a lot of young people, they are concerned what to do. All right, and Pastor has told you, first of all, we need to have an accountability partner that would help you manage that. But why you're not engaging in sex? Because some people see sex as the central, activity in a relationship. So your vision. So there are a lot of things. There has to be a guiding. There has to be a guiding objective for the relationship. All right. So if that guiding relationship, like the primary guiding principle for relationships today is like, I meet him, he spends some money, I have sex with him. I have paid him for the money he spent on me or the hair that he has bought for me. Centrally, that is where we are as a country, as a nation. All right. But so that is also the beginning of the problem. So if you are going to have a relationship without sex and then have something else to do, there has to be an objective. Your objective will be driven by your values. What are you looking for out of life? Exactly are you looking for out of life? What you're looking for out of life will now determine what you'll be looking for in a relationship. And what you're looking for in a relationship will now determine the activities that will happen around the relationships. So if you're going to be talking to your partner and then you're brainstorming, you're talking about big ideas. I've seen partners that are I've seen spouses or people in a relationship that are big business partners. So they talk about, why don't we do this? Why don't I play this role? You play this role so that we can achieve this. So they are focusing on having a big business, having, maybe this one is a chef and they're trying to see, how do we make something big out of this? So I'll source some funds and you do this. And they are making money and their mind. You see, there's something about what your mind is focused on. If your mind is focused on, doing big things, transforming people's life and making impact, every activity around it will be towards that. So fundamentally, you will not just say, I'm not having sex and I go to sleep. You need to begin to develop and cultivate the right values around where you want to go. Where exactly do you want to go to? Some people's, itinerary today is showing that they are not going anywhere. Some women's itinerary is telling us already that they are not going anywhere. Some men, the men they are dating, is already showing that they don't have anywhere they're going. So first of all, you need to have an objective for the relationship, then have values that will drive you towards it. It will not eventually form what you'll be doing while you're not having sex.
Let me add this. Remember, we said today that love is all about what you are bringing to the table, what you are giving to the other person. So if your love is founded on that motive, there is a lot to do. In fact, sex is one of the least things that should be happening in marriage. Have you ever asked yourself, what should I be doing after I have finished giving? Somebody like me, I finished giving birth. What should I be doing with my husband? This sex, where they shake your body, want to do today. If you have sex with a man after 25 years, what should you be doing again? Which means if you are going into marriage without something bigger than that, you have no marriage to keep.
Nothing.
So, sex is not the reason for marriage. Sex is just one of those spices that make marriage beautiful. So when you focus on the spice, leaving meat, leaving fish, leaving the fundamental ingredient of marriage, I can assure you, by the time you get to the marriage, you have nothing to offer. I want to say that if you are not yet married here, what you should be looking out for in a woman or a man is what she is bringing on table since she met with you, or since he met with you, before you can even start telling the person, I love you. Don't love somebody who has nothing to offer. Why will you be doing that kind of romantic love to someone who has no vision?
No vision.
So it's all about make your hair, makeup, look good, boss your whatever. It's just physical.
Physical.
Is it physical that will train the children? Is it physical that will, that put food on your table? Is it physical that will keep you running for more than 30, 40, 50 years of your life together? It has to be something bigger. I want to say that the primary thing that should bring a man and a woman together for marriage relationship should be vision. Not sex.
Vision.
To wrap that section off, there's one of Pastor's quotes about this particular topic. So I would just have to borrow that quote. He says, what sex is to marriage is what salt is to food. Yeah. You do not buy food or eat food to get salt. So that same way, you do not go into marriage for sex. You go into marriage, you eat food for the value, for the benefit of it. So it's not because of salt you go about eating food. Same way, it's not because of marriage you talk about sex.
Excellent.
So what salt is to food is what sex is to marriage. You get what salt is to food is what sex is to marriage. It's not the main thing. There is a value that comes. the sex is one of the values. Say one of the values,
Absolutely.
not the main thing.
Please take on the next question, please. Online question.
Okay.
Online question. Let's
Online
go. Yes, we're on
question.
online questions now.
How can you avoid getting into a broken marriage? I want to understand that part. Like, from the beginning, the marriage is broken. As in, are you asking how to avoid separation inside marriage? Is that the question?
Okay, I think what we'll do, if you're the person that asked that question, you can go maybe to the media and
The question
communicate
says,
clearly.
how
While they show
can
the next
you
one.
avoid getting into a broken marriage? So I'm going to assume you are trying to ask, how can you avoid getting into a marriage that would break?
Break.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a fair assumption. It's a fair assumption. So, Pastor, you want to do justice to that?
How
that
can
question?
you avoid getting into a marriage that will break tomorrow? Yeah, it's hard work. Is focus. Is going by being objective. Is going by knowledge. You know, marriage work by knowledge, not necessarily by sex, as we are talking about. Marriage is like a relationship. All relationship work by knowledge. So what you know, if you don't know much about relationship, you will actually have issues in that relationship. As a woman, you should know how a man reason, operates. You should know the lifestyle. What is these qualities of a man? You should know it. The woman too should also know this thing. Two of you too should be able to define the objective of that marriage. And then to the woman especially, because the man is the head in the marriage, it's important if a man is asking your hand in marriage to find out what marriage means to him. Very, very important. Because a lot of men think that marriage means to marry a woman he'll be sleeping with. To marry a woman that will give him birth to children for him. These are all definitions. To another person, marriage is all about to marry a woman that will cook for him. So you must understand what the man think marriage is all about. And by the time you understand his definition about marriage, and you find out that the definition is not right, you now say, okay, but this is actually supposed to be your definition. And if there is an issue, you should know that it's a red flag. It's a red flag. Because you cannot, to change somebody's mindset so many times, it's not very easy. So it's good to find out what marriage means to that man. The same thing to a man. Before you ask a woman hand in marriage, you should also find out what does marriage means to you as a woman. And find out so that you'll be able to marry someone that have the same vision with you. Because if you don't know, they say when vision is not known, abuse is what? Inevitable. So we should know. But the truth is, marriage is a union between a man and a woman that have an objective they are pursuing. And that objective is always an objective that is greater than them. And it's an objective that only God defines. So when objective of a marriage is an internal objective, it's a marriage that will last for a long time. But if it's a marriage that have just the objective is just material,
Peripheral.
peripheral,
Surface.
such marriage might not go too far. So there is a lot of dynamics about that question.
All right. We're going to take a last question. But before that, I want to remind you that this is the maiden edition of the Beauty of Relationship podcast. So we are going to be online going forward on Facebook and YouTube, Beauty of Relationship. Please do well to continue to search because content will continue to come to you. Regarding the last question, I'd like to recommend the book by is it Gary Chapman, Things I Wish I Knew Before I Got Married. Very important book that will help you align your values, your perspectives about marriage with your spouse. All right, like Pastor said about hard work. you cannot do beyond yourself. You can't do what you don't know. So if you're going to go into a marriage and avoid heartbreaks or broken marriage, you need to know how the man thinks. You need to know what he wants. You need to know how he thinks about certain things in marriage. So things I wish I knew about before I got married. Rather, things I wish I knew before I got married by Gary Chapman. Very, very good book to read. All right, so we'll take the last question. Or is there any other question? I'm not seeing any question on the screen before we wrap up for tonight. Any other questions? Would that be all? Okay, so there's one. So you said that love is God, and you also said that love is what sexual is. Love is what sexually related. How does it correlate? I'm not sure I understand that sentence, that statement. You said that love is God, and you also said that love is what sexually related. No, that's not clear. I'm not sure we can't even make any assumptions on this one, like we made on the last one. So that person may need to write. So let's take the next one. If the person is here, you can relate with the media just at that place and they will communicate. If you are in a marriage relationship and you are doing everything to be at peace with your wife, but your wife is frustrating your effort, will God hold it against you? Considering you did your best to be at peace with her. And then this man is hurting. This man is hurting. We need to talk. We need to speak to him. So, Pastor, that's clear. If you're in a marriage relationship and you're doing everything to be at peace with your wife, but your wife is frustrating your efforts, God will God hold it against you, considering you did your best? So I know if that wife is here, please consider your husband. Please, if your wife is here, I beg you in God's name. So, Pastor, please, I don't know if you have anything to say to that, and that will be our last question for tonight.
I believe in a marriage relationship, we should learn to appreciate our partner's efforts. Yes. Yes, most times we might not really get everything we want. But when you see your husband or your wife is making an effort to actually make things right, we should be able to appreciate those little efforts and keep trusting. Remember, it's not about what you receive, it's still about what you're ready to give. So keep giving and keep trusting and keep affirming everything will align.
Awesome. That will be all for us tonight. There's other questions that are coming forward, so I want to encourage you. If you ask the questions or you want to know more about the other questions, please feel free to connect with us on Facebook, BOR, B2 of relationship. Some of these questions are going to be addressed there before tomorrow. Tomorrow is also going to be a great time. We're going to have a guest in the house, a psychotherapist that's going to help us talk about trauma, heartbreaks, and share her own experience. So please do not miss out. Tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Take a front seat role. Once again, this is the BOR podcast. My name is Nkem Wamalam. I'm my co-host,
Tomotola Richards.
Once again, I want to say thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Pastor, for being with us.
Thank you, Ma, for coming up.
We're excited and we celebrate you.